Hello everyone, it's Jess and welcome back or welcome to my channel. If you are new here, thank you so much for joining me on this Monday evening. I'm very excited because it is vlog number 4 of my Monstrous Monday series and we're going to be reading a good one, hopefully. So get yourself strapped in and just be warned, the titles that are coming up do have flashing imagery in them, so if that is something that affects you, feel free to skip ahead. Yes, so it is, as I said, vlog number 4 of my spooky series. We're 4 weeks into it. We're 6 weeks away from Halloween. I am so ready for Halloween. I cannot tell you. But what book am I going to be reading today? Well, it's a dark one. It's a twisted one. It's hopefully going to be a good one because the books that I've read so far, they've been okay, but we haven't had a 4 or a 5-star read yet. So hopefully this one will be the one. And the book in question is Tender is the Flesh. This is by Agustina Bazterrica. She is an Argentinian author. And this was translated from Spanish. And I've heard incredible things about this. This has a very interesting plot and it is about a world where everyone is eating human meat. We are following Marcos, who is in the business of slaughtering humans, only no one calls them that. He works with numbers, consignments, processing. One day he's given a specimen of the finest quality. He leaves her tied up in an outhouse, a problem to be disposed of later. But she haunts Marcos. Her trembling body and watchful gaze seem to understand, and soon he becomes tortured by what has been lost and what might still be saved. It sounds like it's going to be a heavy one. And I'm so intrigued. I think this book is going to have a lot of things to say about animal welfare, about veganism, vegetarianism, how things could be different in terms of food consumption in the future, consumerism, all of that. I think it's dystopian. Is it dystopian? I believe so. But yeah, I'm really interested in this. I've been wanting to read it for quite some time. And yeah, we're going to delve into it today. So without further ado, I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to get reading. And as always, I'm going to bring you guys along with me. Yeah, so let's read Tender is the Flesh. Alright guys, so I've read 23 pages of this so far, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about what we've learned already because there is so much to unpack in the first 2 chapters of this book, and I just know for a fact that this book is gonna get very dark. I mean, it's already very dark and very heavy very quickly. So we are living in a world where, or Marcos, sorry, is living in a world where the consumption of animal meat has had to stop because animals had caught this virus. It affected animals, but you know, it was deadly, and if humans consumed an animal that had been infected with this virus, which was called GGB, then it was pretty fatal. You know, they would die. And so the governments of the world had to find an alternative because, you know, meat is a huge source of protein, vitamins, minerals, things that our bodies require to function. Not that it is the only thing that we need, but it's, you know, as a carnivorous species, it has a lot of health benefits for us. So the governments and scientists were like, we need to find another way to provide people with protein and nutritious food that's not just plant-based, because you can't get everything from plant-based foods. And so they decided that everyone would be able to consume human meat, which just sounds lovely. So this guy Marcos, he used to, or his dad used to work in a slaughterhouse for pigs, and now Marcos, he works at this facility where they slaughter humans for consumption, and they call it special meat to kind of try and remove the human aspect to it, I believe. It just talks a little bit about the history of why this happened. It also talks about how governments have been using immigrants as cattle, essentially, as a food source. Homeless people, just, you know, people that they don't really care about. And it also mentions here how population and poverty had been reduced. And then it's also kicking off because there's a lot of like human rights organisations who are protesting about this, which is very interesting. Yeah, there's just a lot to unpack here, and I'm really interested. I love the first chapter of this. I just love the start of it. I think the writing already is incredible. I'll read a little bit of the first chapter here, just the first few lines. Carcass, cut in half, stunner, slaughter line, spray wash. These words appear in his head and strike him, destroy him. But they're not just words, they're the blood, the dense smell, the automation, the absence of thought. They burst in on the night, catch him off guard. When he wakes, his body is covered in a film of sweat because he knows that what awaits is another day of slaughtering humans. What an amazing first paragraph, and it's just so sinister, and it just sets the tone for the whole book, and I'm just so excited. I'm gonna stop talking. I need to read more of this because I'm just so fucking intrigued, but I just wanted to share my thoughts with you already because I have a lot. Wow. So I'm on page 61, chapter 10, and we have been introduced to the female that Marcos ends up with. She was given to him by a guy that he works with at the slaughterhouse, at the processing plant, sorry. She is what's described as a FPG, which means, what is it? Or FGP, sorry, which is first generation pure. So she is like considered the most pure human, the most pure piece of meat. She tastes good, all of that. Sounds really weird talking about humans in that context, but I guess that's kind of the point of this book. But yeah, he's been given this female by one of the guys that he works with to breed or to sell, because FGPs or FPGs, sorry, can make a lot of money. And yeah, not much else has happened. Marcos's dad has Alzheimer's, so we've got that backstory going on. But yeah, I'm interested to see how the relationship between Marcos and this female develops, because it's already hinting that he can't kill her or anything or sell her on. It's kind of funny because this book talks about slavery and how in this world slavery is banned and it's still considered like the worst form of cruelty. But then I also think about what's going on with breeding humans for food, and I feel like, is that worse than slavery? I mean, slavery is obviously horrible, but is it worse than being bred just for food? I don't know. That's an interesting question. That's something to think about. But yeah, it's just very deep, and I need to put this book down for a while. It's not that I'm not enjoying it. I am. I'm so intrigued, but I'm also a little bit disturbed. It's just, like I said, very weird reading about humans in this context and how the characters in this book, how the people talk about humans as if they are animals. And I guess it poses a question about the treatment of animals. If we treat animals the way we treat them now, is it okay to treat humans this way? The way they treat humans in this book, does that make it okay to treat animals that way? I don't know. It's a very interesting conversation to be had, and I'm not the right person for that conversation, but it could definitely bring up a lot of really interesting points. Anyway, I am gonna take a break from reading this because it is very heavy. I'm gonna go off and do something else. I need to make food, but I'm not really feeling that hungry right now. And I think this book is to blame. And I'll probably try and read a little bit more tonight. I don't know if I'll read it before bed. I'm not been sleeping great anyway, so I'm not worried about not being able to sleep because of reading this, because I just can't sleep even when I'm happy. So I don't know. We'll see, but yeah, a very interesting one so far. Hello everyone, it is Tuesday. No, it's not. It's Wednesday. I am so out of sync. It's been a bank holiday week, so Monday felt like a Sunday. And yeah, it's Wednesday. And I read some more of Tender is the Flesh last night. I read 132 pages yesterday, so I'm over halfway, and I plan to get the rest of this finished today. I'm about to start part 2, and it is a very compelling book. I'm very disgusted by it. I'm very kind of morbidly intrigued by it, and I'm loving every second. It's really, really fucking good. So I'm gonna finish this afternoon. My internet is currently down Thanks, Virgin Media. It's been down all day as far as I'm aware. It is now 2 in the afternoon. It's still not back. I've been using my mobile data, but I don't have a lot of it. So the plans that I had today to edit and upload loads of videos has just been dead in the water. So I'm going to use this excuse of having no internet and no distractions to finish this. Do I have any expectations for how it's going to end? Not really. Do I have any predictions? No, there isn't really much of a plot, but the characters are really compelling, and the world, the setting is really interesting. And yeah, like I said, I'm loving it. So I'm going to try and finish this within the next hour, and then I'll share my thoughts on the whole book with you. Yeah, it's a very weird one so far. I've finished this book, and I have to say, I am feeling a lot of things right now. The ending of this book was very unexpected and really brutal, and I have no words. It was very harsh. I didn't see it coming, but I loved it. It was very twisted, very dark, and perfect. The perfect ending. I just want to know what happens next. Like, the stuff that happens in this is very minimal. There isn't really a lot of plot until towards the end. But now I'm thinking, you know, was this Marcos's intention all along? Was this what he was planning to do all along? Without spoiling it, he gets into a situation that is considered illegal. And the thing that comes from that, and how his wife deals with it, I just want to know, like, what's going to come of that? What kind of situation, or how will they live with that situation and the decisions that they've made? I have so many questions, but this time it's a good amount of questions. It's a good thing to have these questions, because what an ending. Overall, I fucking love this book. This book was so good, and it was everything that I was anticipating it to be. It was dark, it was sick, it was twisted, it was interesting, and I have very conflicting thoughts about some of the things in this book, because it makes a really good point of talking about humanity's treatment of animals, you know, animal rights and animal welfare, especially within the meat industry, and how things need to change. And it's kind of looking at the other side of that and looking at it in a way that we could kind of empathize with the animals. You know, in this book it's about humans being slaughtered. How would we cope with that as a society? Would we find that okay? And the way we treat animals, you know, you've got, obviously things are changing and animal rights are becoming a lot more prominent, and people are taking it a lot more seriously, and farming, you know, and the food industry is making a lot of changes to make sure that animals are treated better and that things are done ethically. And this kind of looks at the other side of that, of like, the way we treat animals, is it okay to treat humans that way? Probably not, but in this world we're doing it because we don't really have a choice. Although it does kind of allude to the fact that maybe this virus that has infected the animals and stopped people from consuming animals because they're deadly to humans, there's this kind of thing in the book that might have been a conspiracy, that it might have been something made up by the government because they wanted to control immigration and population and things like that, homelessness. I don't really know. It never really kind of states whether that is a fact or not. It just alludes to the fact that it might be. I could believe that. I mean, the state of some of the world's governments right now, I could totally believe that that would be a thing. So I liked that. And this book, that it's in 2 parts, and the first part is about the world that we're reading about the humans, or the heads as they are called, how they are bred, how they are slaughtered, how they are consumed, why it's happening, and it goes into a lot of very graphic, gory detail. And then the second part is more about humanity, and in particular Marcos, about his family life, about how he feels about the entire situation, given that he works in a processing plant. We see a lot of conflicting emotions within him, and whether it's right or wrong. And I thought that was really interesting. It deals with grief, it deals with relationships, with family, and I love the 2 contrasts of the 2 parts, you know, the brutal side and then the more human element. Yeah, I just thought this was a very interesting read. It's not going to be for everyone. It is very graphic and it is very brutal, and there were times when I was just really disgusted, but I was very morbidly interested, and this has been my favourite book of the Monstrous Monday series so far. This is an easy 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it so much, and I definitely can see why people have considered this to be like one of the best pieces of horror in the last few years. It was just absolutely incredible, and I highly recommend it. But yeah, be warned, because it is very dark and graphic, and you've got to be prepared for that. So love that. And that was book number 4 of the Monstrous Monday series complete. We are 6 weeks away from Halloween now, and I'm very excited. The next vlog will be based on the Chestnut Man, which I nearly forgot the name of, and I'm very excited. It is a thriller horror, so stay tuned for that. That will be going out 7 PM next Monday. Please feel free to leave any comments down below letting me know what you thought of this vlog, whether you've read Tender is the Flesh and what you thought of it, whether you enjoyed it or not. I always love to hear what you guys have to say, but that is it for this video. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, then feel free to give it a cheeky thumbs up, because it really does help with my channel. You can subscribe and hit the bell button so you will be notified every single time I do upload. And having said all of that, I will see you all in my next video very soon. Bye guys.